European Union foreign ministers have voiced solidarity with France in its dispute with Australia for scrapping a submarine contract. Officials spoke on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York on Monday. Australia announced a new security arrangement with the US and UK last week and said that it will cancel its order of French conventional submarines and instead build 8 nuclear-powered submarines using American and British technology. US President Joe Biden will speak on the phone with the French President Emmanuel Macron in a few days' time in an attempt to reduce tensions with its NATO ally. Well, France has asked for explanations from the US over the submarine deal. Foreign Minister JeanYves Le Drian called it a unilateral move and breach of trust between the partners at a news conference in New York.
Yes, it is a disappointment. Without unilateralism, unpredictability, brutality, and not respecting your partner was part of the past, but it continues. So we want to understand, because the basic principle within partners is that we are allies. We talk and don't hide elaborate different strategies. And this is the reason why there is a crisis in confidence beyond the fact that the contract is being broken.
Australia's submarine deal has raised concerns from its Asia-Pacific neighbours, including Indonesia, China and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Malaysia too has reacted, and Ryan Meltzer tells us more from Kuala Lumpur.
Malaysia's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister have both expressed their deep misgivings about this new tripartite security pact between the US, UK and Australia. Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said he made Malaysia's position clear in a phone call with his Australian counterpart, Scott Morrison. Ismail said Malaysia is worried the pact could lead to a nuclear arms race in the Asia-Pacific and could raise tensions and escalate risks of a clash between the major powers, especially in the South China Sea. He urged all parties to avoid provocations in the region. And following discussions between Malaysia's foreign minister and his Australian counterpart, Australia has agreed to send officials to Malaysia to provide clarification on the tripartite security pact and its implications for Malaysia and its Southeast Asian or ASEAN neighbours. Malaysia maintains close security ties with the US, UK and Australia. But it also holds joint military, humanitarian and disaster relief exercises with China and tries to maintain a scrupulously balanced foreign policy with regards to the major powers. Malaysia is one of 4 ASEAN countries with overlapping territorial claims with China in the South China Sea, but stresses the need to resolve such disputes through dialogue and negotiations. Ryan Meltzer, CGTN, Kuala Lumpur.
Now we're joined by our correspondent Greg Navarro in Sydney. Greg, tell us about how Australians have been reacting to this submarine deal, especially in Adelaide, where the submarines will be built.
Well, initially it meant the loss of hundreds of jobs that was supposed to be part of a deal with a French company that was to build a fleet of attack class submarines. Now, any potential jobs related to the building of nuclear-powered submarines is really up in the air because Australia doesn't have the technology and the capacity to build a nuclear-powered component of the submarine. As far as other components, once they're built elsewhere, well, that remains to be seen. There are some people who have supported the deal, the idea of scrapping that deal with the French company, saying that it wasn't really going anywhere and there wasn't any benefit. But at this point, there are a lot of people waiting and watching to see the specifics of this deal and how it all relates to the potential, for example, for jobs in South Australia moving forward.
Greg, Australia and the EU, they're in negotiations over a free trade deal, and Australia's trade minister has a meeting set for October in Paris. Now, he says he's confident that the row with France will not derail these talks. Is he being overly sanguine, and how important is this free trade deal to Australia?
Well, this free trade deal is really up in the air. Scott and Private Thompson concerns about this thing, being angry over the scrapped submarine deal to free trade agreements, kind of like comparing apples and oranges. At least that was his spin on all of it. Remember that France does hold a certain amount of sway, a certain amount of influence within the European Union, and having a trade deal with Australia and the European Union is obviously very important to Australia. Here's another thing to remember, though. In the past, the European Union has been a very difficult trade partner for Australia with, for example, unusually high tariffs on agricultural goods and services. However, it is a significant investor of foreign investment in this country. So certainly, from that perspective, any trade deal that Australia can ink is certainly a very good deal.
All right, thank you so much. Greg Navarro speaking to us from Sydney. Washington and Canberra have agreed to a greater American military presence in Australia. Let's take a look at the current and future plans.
The Australian Department of Defense says 2,500 U.S. Marines are on rotation. There are 4 joint military bases. The Robertson Barracks in Darwin stations Marines. The U.S. is also the primary operator of satellite surveillance base Pine Gap in Alice Springs. Last Thursday, officials from both countries explained how America will step up its presence. Australian Defence Minister Peter Dutton said it will include greater air cooperation through rotational deployments of all types of U.S. military aircraft to Australia.
Joining us is Joseph Gregory Mahoney. He joins us from Memphis in the U.S. state of Tennessee, and he's a professor of politics at East China Normal University. Professor Mahoney, it's good to have you with us. First of all, how will a greater American military presence in Australia affect the Asia-Pacific region?
Well, that's precisely the point. Keep in mind, Australia followed the United States into Korea, into Vietnam, into Afghanistan, and now, despite those disappointments, Canberra confirms once and for all it has no independent foreign policy. So while a lot is being made about Australia acquiring these weapons, they will take more than a decade to arrive and years longer to become operationally effective. But in the meantime, will we see the U.S. Basing its subs there? Will we see the U.S. calling the shots with augmented American capacities in Asia and the increasingly strategically important waters near Antarctica? This is more likely. And altogether, this will bring more insecurity to Asia and to Australia in particular, with these new capacities said to bring offensive strike capacities that will be able to hit China. This means China will have to respond with deterrent. And of course, we know that New Zealand is very upset about all of this because they have a green government, and this is going to be more nukes in the water, and this brings much more insecurity and instability for the environment.
The French foreign minister said that he regrets that Europe was excluded from Washington's Asia-Pacific strategy. So is there a place for Brussels in this agreement?
It's fairly clear that France was not that interested in Washington's new China containment efforts, and Berlin was lukewarm at best. We shouldn't be surprised with a new German government this fall or later this year seeking a more independent foreign policy than it's had, and Paris pushing for a European force independent of NATO. But we shouldn't expect any major changes in the near term. NATO will still have its hands full keeping an eye on Russia, and after Afghanistan and general European unease with the U.S., we shouldn't be surprised if NATO just decides to limit its scope to Russia to keep the Europeans in the fold.
So Australia's regional neighbours, have been voicing a lot of concerns about these nuclear-powered submarines. We just heard from our reporter about Malaysia's reaction. So what kind of impact will this have on the other regional players, especially ASEAN countries?
Well, everyone understands this deal brings a lot more instability and chances for dangerous encounters in the region. And of course, Indonesia and Malaysia are literally caught in the middle. Furthermore, not everyone can be a Switzerland. Economies are entwined, but they tilt towards China. Still, choices will have to be made. Sides will have to be taken. This will be costly and dangerous for everyone, and even Singapore will have to choose.
All right, Professor Mahoney, I appreciate your insights. Thank you. Joseph Gregory Mahoney, Professor of Politics at East China Normal University, joining us from Memphis on the phone. Do stay with us on Global Watch. Coming up.